As to the shooter, was he a former student of this school? What is the connection there, if any?
We aren't sure about connection or motive at this point. We know that he attended a high school here in Uvalde. We're not sure exactly which high school at this point either. We're still waiting on a lot of that information from law enforcement and from officials here. They've been pretty tight-lipped about information, not wanting to give away too much as part of their investigation at this point.
Do we know if he was on the radar of authorities at all?
We don't know that information either. They're not answering a lot of our questions, just strictly giving us information that they have and telling us to wait for further updates. But this center behind us was acting as a reunification center at the earlier part of the day. Families were told to come here as they waited for their children who were evacuated out of that elementary school. As the day progressed, it became a notification center where parents were told that their children were not coming home. We know that there is DNA swabbing happening inside of that school as well to help in the identification process for a lot of those families throughout this evening. But we saw families holding on to one another, crying. I spoke with a father who was waiting and desperate for information. And unfortunately, tonight we're learning his 10-year-old daughter has died in the shooting.
What's the latest on the death toll and also casualties?
At this point, we know that 19 children are dead in this shooting. 2 adults also dead. One was a teacher. The other was the shooter's own grandmother. We know that the shooter as well, he was killed by law enforcement. We're also waiting at this point because there's several children who were flown to San Antonio, which is about an hour and a half from where we are now. They were lifelined there because there is better care. There are trauma centers that can handle this sort of mass casualty event. So we are waiting to hear the status of those children. At last check, they were in critical condition.
And as far as we know, what exactly did happen today? As I understand it, he shot his grandmother before going to the school.
From what we understand is the 18-year-old, he shot his grandmother and then he took off in a truck and seemed to have crashed his truck, and then that's when he ended up at the elementary school, about a mile from where we are now.
What sort of place is Uvalde, the town where this happened?
Uvalde is a small community, it's a rural community, and it's a very tight-knit community. Since this tragedy happened today, we saw churches opening up their doors, allowing people to come in and grieve together. We know that there is a vigil planned for tomorrow night, a large vigil for 1,000 people just up the road from where we are at this point. It's a very small, tight-knit community. It's a very rural community as well.
Leigh, we heard from your president, Joe Biden, making strong calls for things to change in terms of gun laws. Is there any sense that today's school shooting could be a turning point here?
At this point, we know all school shootings and all shootings in general that happen here, they always tend to turn political. There's sides saying we need further gun laws. There's a lot of talk of that, but at this point, we want to stay focused on the big picture. 19 children going to home tonight. The one teacher who's never going to be able to go to her own home, and the grandmother who was shot by her own grandson.